Now we come to a very interesting part in David's life. David is on the run, remember, because of King Saul. King Saul is after his life and David needs to run or he'll be killed. It's as simple as that. And he's now got 600 men, 600 loyal men to David who are soldiers to David and will fight for David because they realize what Saul has done to David is wrong and they're standing up to help David and to protect him. And twice David finds King Saul. David's hiding in the cave with his men. Remember, if you're in a cave, the people coming in from the light can't see you because you're in the dark, but looking into the light you can see everything. And when Saul came in to sleep, to rest, David cut a bit of his garment, a bit of his robe, and he never even noticed. And when he went out, he shouted, "Saul, I've got your robe. I could have taken your life, but I didn't do it." And Saul said he would let him off, but he didn't. And then twice again David went down and took his spear and his water, and it could have killed him, but David never killed him because he loved David and respected him. Then we told you about this man, this greedy man, because he would not feed David's men for protecting him. As a result, David was going to avenge him, and he was so afraid the man took a heart attack and died. And as a result then David was able to marry his wife Abigail, and that became David's second wife. And now David's on the run again, and this woman, she stood up for David, she told him, and David liked her. By her very words and her attitude and her grace and her countenance, within a few minutes, David could tell right away that he liked this girl. And then there's David, the second time, goes down to get Saul. He creeps down, he gets his spear and his water, and he could have killed him. Why did he not kill him? If he had killed Saul, it would have been finished. He could have become the next king. But he didn't, because Saul was God's anointed king, and God would remove Saul in his time. And he just pulled back. But he reminded Saul, "Saul, I could have killed you, but I didn't. And here's your spear to prove it." And David is still on the run. But something happens to David now. David seems to lose touch with God. He seems to grow cold at heart, and he's so afraid of Saul, and so afraid of running in Israel, and so afraid that Saul will catch him, he decides to move into the country of the Philistines, to live with Israel's enemy. Why would he do that? And sometimes in life we can be going so well as a Christian that before we know it we can grow cold at heart. It's called backsliding. And we can grow cold of heart, and God can fade into the distance, and we can live in fear and start to make decisions and go our own way. And this is what David done. A man after God's own heart, and yet he made this decision. And the 600 men made the decision to come with him. And David went to the king. And David lived here for 1 year and 4 months in this country. And he went to the king. And David said, "I live here." And whenever Saul heard that David was living here, he actually stopped running after him. The Bible says he stopped pursuing him. And the king of the Philistines heard this, and he realized the king was after Saul, or Saul had stopped running after David. And David actually fought battles for the Philistines, fought other countries with his own men, and defeated them. So this king, I think his name's called Aglais or something, and this king really loved David and respected him. And David asked him for a piece of land. He asked him for a little town, and he gave him Ziklag. And David said, "My men want to settle down. We want to have children with their wives and our family, and we want to start our own farming and live peacefully in this country." And the king let him, no problem. But David was far away from his own people. And David had his own village. They built houses, they built places to worship, and here they are with their own farms, their own families, and they're living here at peace. But then a war broke out. A war broke out with Saul in Israel and the Philistines. And David says, "I'm now loyal to the Philistines. I must go and fight." And he came before the king. And he told his men to wait behind, and his wives and children, and all his men rather, came with him. And he says, "We are part of the Philistines. We'll fight for you." How was David going to fight against his brothers? How was he going to fight against Jonathan and Saul? David was now maybe unstable in his ways. But the king's men said, "We can't trust David. David will turn on us, and he'll never ever fight against his own family or against his own king." And they said, "David, we can't let you fight for us." So now David couldn't fight for his own country or the enemy country. They didn't want him. But the whole time when David was visiting the king, something was happening in his village. Something was happening his wife, his children, and his village, and David knew nothing about it. But he's going to soon know. He's going to find out, and he's going to find out who done it.